The really big problem with our transportation system is actually also the problem with our economic system. Our transportation system is designed to maximize the use of materials and energy. And the history of that is actually quite interesting. It was after World War II that economists decided that, how are we going to prevent the economy from sliding back into recession when everybody was demobilized and the defense plants were shut down? And the solution that came up with was largely to convince people to buy automobiles on credit. And it worked remarkably well. People went into debt, they bought cars, they worked harder to pay off and make their car payments, and the economy grew. The economy grew remarkably quickly. But now we're running out of space on the planet to grow. Greenhouse gas emissions, particularly from transportation, are cooking our planet. And we're seeing the effects of that right now. It's not a problem for the future. This is something that we need to deal with right now because we're already seeing disasters happening from global warming. What we need to do is unwind that decision that was made to maximize the consumption of materials and energy and start reallocating money away from the freeways and highway expansion that actually drives a lot of our transportation emissions. It actually is what creates the demand for oil, is more roads that just fill up with more traffic. So we really need to reallocate that money away from freeway expansion. About $10 billion a year in Canada could be reallocated away from highway expansion to solutions like public transit and electric railways. That's changes that we need to make really quickly. And by shifting over to public transit investments, we can start to create complete communities, the kind of communities that people used to live in, where you could walk and get your groceries, where you could walk down and get a haircut at a barber, where it wasn't necessary to drive 4 or 5 kilometers just to get some groceries. And that can be done because when you've got good public transit and people are riding it, a grocery store can survive beside the bus stop. You can start to create a complete community around the nucleus of transit stops. And that's how our communities, our older communities, that's how they developed. We have what's called streetcar suburbs, and they're the nicest neighborhoods in most of our cities. They were developed before the automobile age. And in a lot of these places, there still are grocery stores that you can walk to. But most people now can't afford to live in these places. Lower income people are being forced out into the suburbs, and they're being forced to own cars just to be able to maintain basic mobility and participation in society. So we've got an opportunity to do this, and there's a number of other changes that we need to make that will make this transition work even better. One of them is that huge amounts of the road space in our cities are now taken up by the private automobile. If we start creating transit lanes, bike lanes, wider sidewalks, this displaces cars, but it also makes the low carbon modes more appealing, faster, more reliable, and actually more efficient for governments to provide, because a bus stuck in a traffic jam just is not providing a service, it's just sitting there stuck. We can create much better transit systems, much better cycling networks remarkably quickly and for very affordable cost. This change in our societies actually makes it possible for people to live with much lower carbon footprint, lower greenhouse gas emissions, but also to live healthier lives. One of the big health hazards that people now face in Canada is inactivity-related disease, largely because of the amount of time that people spend commuting in their cars. If you get out of the car and you spend 20 minutes walking to work rather than 45 minutes driving, the health benefits are enormous. And it also reduces air pollution, noise along major arterials. The benefits are enormous, and the downsides of continuing the direction that we're going are just incredible. It's basically, it would be suicidal to continue the greenhouse gas emissions that we're now producing from transportation. Basically, we need a transportation system change to avoid catastrophic climate change. We don't really have a choice in this.